Revolution may be an overused term, but it is aptly used in this context. The AI revolution isn't just changing how we build applications, it's fundamentally reshaping how we think about infrastructure, developer experience, and platform engineering. While every company is scrambled to become AI first, the real challenge lies in making AI workloads accessible, scalable, and manageable for development teams. Today, we are diving deep into how Kubernetes and platform engineering are evolving to meet this challenge. And today, we have with us once again Saiyam Pathak, Principal Developer Advocate at Loft Lab. Saiyam brings a unique perspective to the intersection of developer experience, Kubernetes, and AI infrastructure. At Loft Labs, he has been at the forefront of making complex multi-tenant Kubernetes environments more accessible to developers. And today, we are going to explore how AI is changing the platform engineering landscape. Sayam, it's great to have you back on the show.
Thank you, Swapnil. It's always great to be on TFIR and talking with you, especially.
It's my pleasure to talk to you as always. Let's start with what's new at Loft. Can you give us a quick overview of the latest releases and what you and your team has been working on or focusing on lately?
There have been a lot of push that we are doing within Loft Labs or vCluster, I would say, as a specific product that we are working on in pushing it to the multi-tenancy spectrum, like covering the entire spectrum. Recently, we released the V026 vCluster version with namespace syncing and hybrid scheduling. Both of them are like kind of interesting features where you need hard-coded or you need specific patterns for a namespace to be synced back to the host. If you need that, you can do that. And especially for the GPU kind of workloads, the AI workloads, people need multiple schedulers. So before, prior to 026, it was not possible to use multiple schedulers. But with 026, you can use multiple schedulers when you have virtual clusters. That gives you the flexibility of adding, for example, a Kai scheduler inside your virtual cluster and use that. So that is something which is pretty cool. And I think recently what we launched is we launched a launch page. So now we are very open about our roadmap, very open about what we are going to do next. And you will be amazed if you just go to vcluster.com/launch. You will see the next set of releases in the coming months, like August to October, are pretty packed. The team is working super hard on bringing very exciting features for the community.
These days, as we all know, AI has become the central theme in almost every tech discussion. Just as we once said that every company needs to become a software company, then move to cloud, now AI has become the critical central talking point. You can't have a discussion without it. Can you talk about what Loft is doing in the AI and GPU infrastructure space and how you're supporting these workloads in Kubernetes environment?
I think we also saw the buzz, like everyone has seen that AI wave, how it has given rise to AI agents, all the companies moving, like you said, towards AI. But I think we as vCluster are sitting in the infrastructure layer. So if you want to do AI, you want to build applications, you want to, fine tune those LLM models, you want to build your own LLM models, you need GPUs. So you need that infrastructure layer. What we have seen while talking to the enterprise customers is people are ordering the GPU hardware and they are building these mini data centers. Why they are doing it is various reasons, like they want their data to be private, they want data to be co-located so that it can inference faster, a lot of these things, and they are building these mini data centers. And obviously Kubernetes is the choice. And what vCluster is doing to solve that problem is, again, multi-tenancy, because we are in that ecosystem and spectrum. So what we say is to remove all the struggles of handling 10 different Kubernetes clusters on bare metal, which is very expensive because at minimum you will have one control plane, two node given to one team. So if there are 10 teams, you need 30 bare metal nodes, which are all gone to 10 teams. If there is 11th team, what do you do? So those are the type of challenges which are there. Now, when vCluster comes in, what we say is have one cluster. Just have one bare metal cluster, Kubernetes cluster with CPU and GPU nodes, whatever you have ordered. And then you create as many virtual clusters as you want for the teams who want to do training, inferencing, or any sort of a machine learning workload that they are doing in the whole ML life cycle. So this is where vCluster is shining to help you actually build your AI workloads, build your AI applications, be it agents or whatever that is. So on the infra layer, you have the GPUs. We are more focused on how you can efficiently reuse like efficiently use the resources of those GPUs, because that is critical. GPUs are expensive, so we want the infrastructure to be used in the best possible manner, and everybody getting their own Kubernetes clusters as well and using the power of Kubernetes. So that's where vCluster is shining in the GPU space.
Before we move on, since culture community is a critical part of your life, from a cultural point of view, what kind of movements are you seeing in the platform engineering space, especially as AI becomes part of their practices?
I think, especially when you say people building out platform, everyone has to think about, whether it's observability, whether it's complete platform, they have to be ready for the AI workloads. So people have to build those platform with AI capabilities. How you can build that? You need to build the platform that can respond to your AI workloads, that can cater to all the needs, like that can cater to the workloads with CPU intensive needs, that can cater to the workloads where they need GPUs. It again boiled down to the whole infrastructure. So when you create the platform on top of an infrastructure, whether it's cloud, whether it's bare metal, what you need is you have to have that central piece as vCluster. So what we are seeing is people are putting, when they're building their IDPs, which is very popular, like internal developer platforms, they are building that vCluster. They're integrating the vCluster piece at the central piece of the whole IDP puzzle, so that it becomes easier to hand out a separate Kubernetes cluster without actually creating a separate Kubernetes cluster. So they just create a virtual cluster, hand it to the teams. The teams believe, that's what vCluster is. The teams believe that they are the owner of that particular virtual cluster, which is a CNCF certified Kubernetes cluster that they get, and they are able to deploy any kind of workload on that. Now you can deploy a specific virtual cluster to and target it to a GPU node. Yes, you can do that. And as I mentioned, the whole multi-tenancy spectrum. If you want me to talk more about it, so in August, like the next month, we are launching something which is called private nodes. So multi-tenancy spectrum goes from left to right, like left being a traditional namespaces and right being the traditional separate clusters. That covers your entire multi-tenancy spectrum. In that spectrum, we already are doing the shared nodes, where you have the infrastructure, like you have one Kubernetes cluster and you have 10 teams. Everyone is sharing that same host Kubernetes cluster. Second is your virtual nodes, and then comes your dedicated nodes. Now these dedicated nodes means you can do a node selector kind of thing, and you can dedicate one particular virtual cluster to GPU node, one particular virtual cluster to a CPU node. Next thing coming up next month is very interesting, which is called private nodes, that everyone is waiting for and everyone talks about. With vCluster, you will now be able to create isolated control plane and attach the private nodes to that. Now, this is something very interesting, because you can have your isolated control plane sitting on any of the host cluster, and you can now attach the virtual nodes. So those virtual nodes are completely separate, and your teams can be completely separately running. They're not sharing the same infra. So now they are sharing the different infra. That is where it comes under the category of dedicated clusters. So that is a cluster. And in September, we are going a step further, how we can do the smarter scaling of that nodes, even that is bare metal. In bare metal, the auto scaling is not possible right now. So we are moving a step ahead and making it possible. And the last piece of the puzzle that we are solving in the multi-tenancy ecosystem is standalone vCluster, which is what I'm most excited about. I cannot share many details, but as a one-liner, what I can say is, with standalone vCluster, there will be no host cluster required. Now, if you are a Kubernetes enthusiast, you would immediately guess what that would be. And otherwise, just wait for October, and we'll be happy to demo it, how it would look like. But I'm really excited about what's coming in the next 3 months.
There's a lot of discussion around the multi-tenancy spectrum these days. You and I had a lot of discussion on this topic. Can you go a bit deeper into what multi-tenancy means to you personally, given your long experience in this ecosystem, and how are teams looking at isolation, scale, and tenant boundaries?
So in multi-tenancy spectrum, what happens is there are different tools. There are different open source tools and paid tools that falls under one category of the multi-tenancy spectrum. So, for example, there will be a X tool that is only doing the namespaces. There is a Y tool that is only doing the private nodes. But there is no single tool that is covering the entire multi-tenancy spectrum, which is where I feel as a community person, like as I want to help the developers, I want to bridge, solve the pain points of the developers. What enterprises need right now? They need some tool where they are flexible enough to create either virtual clusters with shared nodes, they are flexible to use dedicated nodes, they are flexible to use the private nodes, and then go to the standalone route, like don't use any other distribution as well. This is where the vision for vCluster is, covering the entire multi-tenancy spectrum. And like I said, you can go to the vcluster.com/launch page and you'll see the timelines when we are doing all these things. So now with vCluster Spectrum, after we launched the last part in October, we cover the entire spectrum. A single enterprise using a single tool, which is vCluster, you will be able to do all. So if you want in your single Kubernetes cluster a shared node, you can do that. If you not want a dedicated node, you can do that. If on the same cluster using the same tooling, you want private nodes, you can do that. So this is where I think things get exciting, because right now there are tools that do some bits and pieces here and there, but this covers the entire spectrum, will make things organized, will make things seamless, and every enterprise would see it as the go-to tool for uh, any type of Kubernetes multi-tenancy that they want to do.
What kind of discussions are you hearing when it comes to platform engineering and AI? There are a lot of concerns that AI might take their jobs away. So I want to hear your perspective. What are you seeing in your community from these topics perspective?
Yeah, there are a lot of things you mentioned over here. I can touch in pieces on all of those. The platform engineering space is evolving for, like I said, building the AI platforms, because everybody is building. Even if someone is building their observability infrastructure, they are building it in keeping in mind that AI workloads will come next. Not today, maybe tomorrow, down the lane, 6 months, we have to be ready. So AI observability is something that I'm talking about at KubeCon India as well in my keynote. But AI observability is something that people are, doing it. And then OpenTelemetry has created a SIG where they are streamlining the efforts, because AI is kind of a black box. Request goes into that black box and then you receive an output. So how do you observe such systems? So that becomes pretty tricky. Then GPUs. So I mentioned about NVIDIA Scape. So these kind of vulnerabilities, and NVIDIA Scape is coming on the GPU level vulnerability with NVIDIA Container Toolkit. So it's in the AI/ML ecosystem which is there. What people are saying, that why use containers and move back to VMs, because these are container escapes. So what happens is you can break out of that container and then you can get access to the host node and you will be able to run any malicious workload over there. Now, this is not something new. This has happened before. This has happened with NVIDIA Escape, and this will happen later on as well. Like you said, whenever things are running fine, it's fine. But suddenly one day there will be a vulnerability coming in and everyone will go into the panic mode. This is where I think we have also another product called vNode, where you can just use vNode, and we don't assume that things won't break. We assume that things will break, but even if you break out of the container, you will only get access to the virtual node and not the actual node. So I think observability, security is the key talk of the town when we talk to many of the developers in the platform engineering space. And then in the end, yes, multi-tenancy. Everyone wants to do multi-tenancy, but they want flexibility. They want to do a lot with a single tool, which is not possible right now. And vCluster only serves as the single tool. So within the community, people are building cool platforms. They are still caring about security. They are still prepping them for the AI ML workloads. Things are still developing foundations, and even in the projects, there are SIGs that are coming towards consensus on how we should observe the system, how we should trace this AI request from user to LLM to the output. So yeah, all these things are happening in the ecosystem.
While Kubernetes may not have always been developer first from the beginning, Loft has always had this developer first philosophy. How are you thinking about developer experience in the Kubernetes ecosystem as Kubernetes becomes even more complex, especially in the context of AI pipelines and multi-team environments?
I think it's always like there is a software that comes out, and which is why the whole CNCF ecosystem was made. You see the landscape today. So Kubernetes was not able to do all the stuff, and then there are all these projects, CNCF projects around that Kubernetes ecosystem that makes it powerful, that makes it an ecosystem that can expand and handle any sort of workloads, whether it's CPU, GPU workloads. So I think Kubernetes itself is maturing in its own feature sets, which is fine. So we are not expecting that to ease out the developer experience or that is, which is why people are building their own internal developer platforms, the portals, to ease out the developer experience for their own teams. And then we on our side, what we are seeing is we are trying to do is making vCluster as simple as you as to use via it's from the vCluster platform, whether it's any sort of integration, making things intuitive. Because when you are using the product, it should be intuitive. Like you should not need any training to kind of do it. That's what the whole goal is. Like vCluster creates a demo vCluster, as simple as that. So we come with our auto default so that you don't have to do the hard work. But yes, everyone wants to do customizations for complex workloads, so do it. We have a vcluster.yaml file so that you can customize anything and everything that you want to customize for your specific workloads and what type of workloads you want to run. So I think developer experience is at the core of our organization that we work, and I think we can leave Kubernetes over there because Kubernetes is more focused on how we can provide the features that will make it easier to run the workloads, to handle the complexity of the workloads that it runs. So yeah, that's it.
Sayam,
Yes.
thank you so much for sharing your insights from AI workload to culture shift in platform engineering and a lot of other topics in terms of what Loft is working on. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and I look forward to this discussion. Thank you for your time today.
Yeah, thank you, Swapnil. I'm really excited about the next 3 months. I would request everyone who's watching this, like, do check out vcluster.com/launch because you'll definitely see a lot of value in what is coming next, because you'll be able to see that whole spectrum, and a single tool be able to complete that spectrum is never happened before. It's the first time it will be happening, and it will be vCluster. So I'm really excited about that, and we'll be there at all the KubeCons. So if you want to chat more, happy to chat more about vCluster.